Alright guys, another day, another strength. Welcome back. Got a very exciting new video for you today. As you can see, I spent about $32 to upgrade my YouTube channel, get a little more professional with the production here. We got a whiteboard. This is the first episode in a new series I'm calling Mind Over Muscles. Basically, I'm going to break down all kinds of aspects of training, programming, basically go through from the beginning all the way to very advanced, all kinds of concepts. So we're going to start off today with coaching. We're going to go all the way through to things like basic principles, and then get more advanced, go into the lifts themselves, programming the lifts, different muscle groups, crazy advanced techniques, stuff like that. But yeah, today we're starting simple, talking about coaching, right? This is where it all begins. Whether you're being coached or not, you're still coaching and being coached if you don't realize it, right? Even if you don't realize it. So you are either hiring a coach and paying someone money to do it. Maybe you got a buddy, they're doing it for free, right? Or you're gonna do this stuff yourself. So you're watching videos like these, you're trying to learn, maybe you're coaching other people, but we're gonna focus more on either coaching yourself or getting coached by somebody else in this video, right? So the best lifters take ownership of their training, right? As a novice, the coach is largely gonna take the reins, but then things become more dependent on the lifter leading the way as they get more advanced if they wanna see good results in the future, right? And so that goes for either someone being coached or if you are the coach and the lifter simultaneously, right? So if you as a lifter, provided you have pretty, average genetics, an average dude, average lady, if you decide to not think critically about your training, to not take risks, to not eat well and sleep well, then you can expect no more than average results. So the people that get the best results in their training are really gonna take ownership of their program. They're gonna learn this stuff. They're gonna know, just about as much as their coach does by the end of it about what they're doing. And they're gonna understand their own training and their own body, essentially, right? So the key thing here is that no one knows better what's going on than you as the lifter. Even if you have a great coach, right? Like they can't feel the things that you're feeling physically. They can't tell what you're thinking psychologically. So a great coach is gonna, understand that and get pretty darn close, be in the ballpark. But no one can understand that better than you can, right? So as a lifter, this will help you to stay on track, make intelligent decisions about your programming, and collect data in the future, right? So yeah. At some point, you're going to need to learn stuff like basic anatomy, mechanics of the compound lifts, a good diet, proper sleep. We're going to go all the way through that in this series. That's going to help out. But yeah, that stuff really isn't that hard to learn. So, put in a little bit of time and you can get there. But, as I said, your coach cannot feel what you feel psychologically and physically. And so it's your responsibility as a lifter to collect data and pass it along to your coach, right? If you want to see the best results possible. This is really you're going to get out what you put into this with your training journey. So, understanding yourself or your client, if you're a coach, physically and psychologically, taking the data, right? Be willing to experiment, be willing to take risks. And let's play a little game here, a little bit of good coach, bad coach, right? So how to spot a good coach versus a bad coach, some of the hallmarks, some of the signs. Let's get right into that, right? First of all, the price, as you can see right here, pay money question mark, right? You get what you pay for with coaching. So if you are paying someone, $50 a month, that's going to yield $50 a month results, right? Consider that $50 a month for a year, right? Versus paying a really good coach. If it's an online coach, it's going to be probably at least $200 a month. If it's in person, it's probably going to be, if it's starting strength gym, it's about $405 a month. But yeah. So look up the price of a year in assisted living. If you're at your computer right now or at your phone or whatever, look that up, right? Then divide that by how many months of quality coaching that can get you. So in most areas, like in my area in New England, a year of assisted living is somewhere between like 80 and 90,000, something like that. It's very, very expensive, right? So if you take that compared to a starting strength gym membership is about $4 or $5 a month for 3 times a week. Do that for a year, it's around like $5,000 a year, I think, right? So that gets you something like 20 years of coaching as opposed to that 1 year in the nursing home. So weigh that investment, right? Good coaches are going to get you PRs, meaning increases in strength, muscle mass. They're going to get you decreases in fat mass, decreases in your mile time, if that's what you're looking for, right? And they're going to focus on what's important, meaning they are going to stick to fundamental principles. They're not going to get too caught up in the advanced stuff and have you focus on some nonsense, right? Like some less experienced coaches might see that you have some weird little thing in your form and they're not going to let you add weight to the bar and they're going to have you do a bunch of nonsense drills that aren't actually helping the thing, right? So if you're not getting PRs on a consistent basis, then you might not be working with a phenomenal coach. If it is something that, if that is, on the coach, so meaning that you're actually showing up, you're eating and sleeping enough, and you're not missing sessions, right? If you're doing all that, then it's probably on your coach at that point. Good coaches in general, not always, tend to be subpar athletes because they're like you. And so they've lived every single roadblock that you're going to run into and that you might be running into right now. They've had to troubleshoot every single problem right in every step of this. Whereas great athletes are not always great coaches. Now there are still, poor athletes that are not good coaches and great athletes that are great coaches. That still happens, right? But just keep in mind that if you hire someone who works with, professional athletes only, and you're a below average dude and you're a software engineer, for example, working on a desk, and you have never done anything athletic in your life and you're, in your 30s, and they work with young, talented athletes, then consider if they're the best fit for you, right? Because they might try to push you into you may be a round peg that they're trying to push into a square hole, for example, right? Hot take right here. Good coaches, I think, work with a wide range of clients in levels of ability. So you might think that someone who specializes in one area, and again, this is just averages, right? Someone that specializes might be ideal for, if you're trying to do a specific skill, specific thing, but I think the more clients that someone works with, the more experience they have fixing different things. And in health and fitness, the various demographics, like we're all human beings at the end of the day, and that's the person that you're experimenting on. So it's really just like, it's not really different principles, essentially. It's the same principles, right? But you're just applying it in settings where it might be more difficult, right? So is it easier or more difficult to get a 70-year-old woman strong versus a 22-year-old guy, right? So if you hire the person that can get 70-something-year-old women strong, they could probably get you strong too as a 25-year-old guy, and it's probably going to be quite easy for them to do that. So as far as the psychological side of coaching, right? The initial consultation that you're going to have with your coach. One way to spot a good coach is that you as the client are going to do most of the talking. The good coach is going to want to learn as much about you as possible, ranging from things like your physical history, injury history, surgery history, stuff like that, your goals, and then even stuff like your lifestyle. They're going to want to know about your career, your family. They're going to want to know these little things that might pop up and get in the way, or what motivates you, what kind of person you are, what gets you moving. But yeah, so don't hire a hammer. And what I mean by that is, the phrase, when you're a hammer, everything's a nail. So don't hire someone that is just gonna push you into this one, like I said, the round peg in a square hole. Like if they just do one thing and you're not a good fit for that thing, then, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they're a bad coach. They might just not be a good fit for you. And that's also another important piece too, right? Like sometimes good coaches and good clients, they just don't mesh together for whatever reason, whether it's personality or, the methods, whatever it may be, right? But yeah, coaching is essentially a guided process where you're paying for the experience of the coach. So if you're not paying any money, you're doing it yourself, right? You just don't have that experience yet, and that's fine, but you're gonna have to build that over time. So you have to understand that, and you might have to take more risks and experiment more on yourself, right? Do some things that you're not willing to do, get a bit uncomfortable. But a good coach will have done most of these things and have done this with their clients as well. So they're gonna give you, a pretty good idea of where you're going. And if you ask them questions, a good coach is going to give you intelligent answers to your questions. They're going to have a reasoning behind it, at least a theory behind what you're doing, right? Whereas, and they're going to make you think critically about what it is that you're doing. They may even ask you questions, right? So if you ask them a question like, how strong should I get? They're going to ask you where do you see yourself in 2 years with your strength? And are you willing to do this to get there? And are you willing to sacrifice this? And that sort of thing, and kind of frame it objectively, and then you can kind of decide all right, that's something I'm willing to do, and should I go for it, right? They're going to equip you with the tools to do this without them at the end of the day. So a good coach is basically going to allow you to outgrow them. They're going to make you self-sufficient, because at the end of the day, a good coach is basically an educator, right? Even on YouTube Fitness, all these awesome channels that there are nowadays, these guys are just highly skilled educators, in my opinion, right? They're laying out the information for you to find on your own and apply it to yourself. And that's what a good coach is going to do. Bad coach is going to give you a program template and then give you BS answers and shrug you off when you ask questions about it, right? And then another important thing is when you ask questions, a good coach is occasionally going to answer you with the phrase, I don't know, right? They're going to let you know when it's outside the area of expertise. If you're dealing with something that they can't handle, they're going to let you know. They'll pass you along to a specialist or something like that, right? and they're going to want what's best for you at the end of the day. But yeah, over time, a good coach is basically just a consultant, right? You're just like a health and fitness or strength consultant at the end of the day. So the coach is going to show you probably the best path to work towards the goal. So you decide the goal, they're going to show you the best way to get there, let you know what's going to happen along the way, lay out an objective path, and then they are going to advise and not dictate. So it's up to you to decide what you're going to do, and they're going to show you how to get there, right? So that's basically it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you want to see next in the comments, and then I'll see you guys in the next video. All right, goodbye.